I've known Steve for 25 years.
Yeah, we went to Central St Martin's School of Art in London together, and that's where we met in the first year doing film and video as fine art. It was like the fine art degree, but we did the film and video option.
Well, I think first I handed him stuff, just the creative things, because I thought that's what's really interesting, or what I was into, you know. So I just gave him loads of like tour footage and like arty kind of things that I'd experimented with. But he just kept, he didn't use a single bit of that, and he just kept asking for one more tape and one more tape of just stuff, and then we, you know, started going into tapes that I hadn't seen and that were just like in my mum's attic or whatever. And then, you know, by the end of it, after a few years, I hadn't heard from him, but he'd built up a massive archive of all my stuff, and it sort of kind of didn't, in my world, in my head, that didn't happen like intentionally. Like I didn't say, oh, you should have this stuff, but I felt like, you know, Steve might have got into editing, and that if he wanted to finish some of the films that I'd started, that'd be really cool. Mm-hmm. But he didn't really use that either. So I don't know what's in the film. So we'll figure it out, because I always think that when people ask me about it, I just go, I don't know how you make a film about a musician with no music in it. But it really doesn't have much of my music stuff in it.
It hasn't got no music in it. It's just not a music doc. It's not about M.I.A. It's about...
How could you make a documentary about M.I.A. and not have music in it?
That's why it's called Matangi Maya M.I.A. because it's about.
But it hasn't got any art in it either, and it hasn't got really much.
It's not got a lot, has it?
No,
like,
it
according to you, but.
So. You know, it's basically cut out of the stuff that I would definitely keep under my bed and that I don't really want people to see. But at one point, I must have really trusted him and handed him over. I can't remember when that was, but yeah.
So you bracing for a really awkward fallout after the screening then?
We're anticipating a massive fallout.
I think of the people that have seen it, their response has been really, really positive, and it's just not what people expect. It's, I think everybody has an idea going into it of what it might be, and it's 180 completely different. What drove me to make this particular thing was that I felt like there was some kind of moment happening in the world where it was really important to, it was just the right time to see a story about somebody who was an immigrant and a female and someone of color who was just relentlessly kind of driven and had focus and just weathered the storm, and certainly inspired me. And I just thought it was essential to get it out now, with the current, you know, the backdrop of the refugee crisis. Like,
we just want to also teach kids about what life was like before internet. You know, I'm doing it for a selfish reason. Like, I want to teach my own child who's already like, what, you know. Like, we were watching South Park yesterday, and they had an episode about downloading music on Napster. That, to me, is like way down the line of the stuff I have, you know. And he's like, what is that? Like, how come it was illegal? And, like, it's really interesting to be like, okay, now it's sort of time maybe to, because it does straddle that much of a scope between pre-internet and post-internet. And it also feels like the internet's coming to this like crazy frenzy, you know, like wound up to its fastest moment, and it's gonna just like crash. And it might be nice to like remind people of what it was about it that we liked in the first place, you know, because I feel like I was one of the artists that really championed it, and sometimes I feel really guilty